Hello everybody and welcome to GRC Season 13 opening round. Big warm welcome here from Laguna Seca, complete with corkscrew, and that's not a bottle of wine that I've already opened. My name's Simon Smith and I'll be taking you through today's high octane action here at the American circuit. Simon Melliwish as ever on cameras and your admin for today. We've just moved forward into the qualification session where you can get a look at the new BMW and Lexus cars which take route. And let's join Oscar Hardwick down on his hot lap for Torrent Motorsports Osiris, who's diving down into turn 1, so you can get a look at the new mod for season 13 as well as the track itself. And Hardwick nice and neat into turn 1. He was complaining earlier on in practice that he's not had much time to actually get used to the car, and he's finding that actually with a lot of people as well it's taken a little while to get his head round the mod itself, and he's having a bit of trouble getting around some of the corners there, running out right the way wide, 2 wheels on the dirt, and a little mini lock up on the outside right into turn, I think 5 that is, as we start approaching up the hill towards the dreaded corkscrew itself. And oh dearie me, I tell you what, if he advertises his rear end like that in some of the places I'll go, he'll be sorry, as we come down to the corkscrew itself. And it's here where a lot of people are locking up, causing themselves many problems, and there's a car off just in front of him, now behind, not quite sure who that is, we'll get that sorted out for you shortly. But Hardwick negotiating the dramas, but it looks like he's desperately trying to cause his own, running right the way out to the ragged edge. And of course the format not changed for GRC, it's 3 separate races of 12 laps or 20 minutes, whatever comes first, round the final corner and across the line for Oscar Hardwick, who's going to set us our first time of the 10-minute qualification session. That's 1:33.157. That's faster than what he's achieved so far in practice, so I think he'll actually be quite pleased with that, but it was a very ragged attempt indeed. Martin Palm is 5 tenths up there in P2 as he rounds the last couple of corners, as Reino Muru goes second for TTFR Motorsports as they make their return to GRC Racing, as James Kirk goes into second and Paul Joseph goes fourth. Martin Palm rounding round the final corner, but he's missed the apex completely unfortunately, and that's not helped him at all. Across the line he goes, but he's still pole position for the time being, a 1:32.407, 7 tenths clear of Hardwick, with Kirk, Muru, Brewster now up into 5 for the Six Axis Racing, making their first full season debut. And welcome to quite a few little new names out and about on track. Dave Robertson down in 13th position, just crossing over the line for his own team. They've yet to submit their skin, they'll be there for next round hopefully, and that's 1:36.324. He has been one of the slower ones so far after making a solid debut, the little Scottish lot, as James Ross in 14th position, now showing off the BMW car. Dave Robertson, not quite sure what escape road he thinks he's going down, but they've negotiated him regardlessly. And, James Ross, of course, one of the, well, probably the best independent driver that we had, who basically raced all by himself, no teammate, just got down and dirty with it and impressed quite a few people with some good consistent driving in season 12. And of course this season, as I'll go into in a little bit more detail, as ever, we've got the Division 1 drivers and then the Division 2 drivers, who are the either less experienced or the ones who traditionally, when the GRC seasons used to be split, as he comes nice and tightly around the corner, he's coming up to new driver Mirko Wenzel for Online Motorsport, who are making their complete debut here today. The Division 2 drivers will be having their own little mini championship as always, and I think James Ross will be one that will figure quite highly in that, just purely down to the fact that he seems to bring it home quite often, as someone pops up quite highly there. Oh, it's Stuart Fleming going into P7 currently at the moment, as we enter the second half of the broadcast, as once again Mirko Wenzel just ahead of James Ross being reeled in, and Reino Room is closing them down too. And Reino Room, I think, is on his outlap, so that's proving well for him. Across the line goes Wenzel, and Wenzel will go into P nothing as Ross goes into 8. So he's ahead of Dave Robertson. and that'll do him for now. But Reino Room for Team Estonia in P11 now starts his hot lap, and he was the fastest man in the practice sessions, but that is a heavy lock-up down into T1. And well, Team Estonia though are figuring nice and highly with him and teammate Henry Vierok. It did appear to be the Estonians versus Turret Motorsports in the practice sessions, with the occasional flourish of TTFR, and on their day maybe the 6th Axis team might be able to get a little shoe in as well. Has had over 40 sign-ups for this event, but currently we've just got 20 in the server. Room matching Sector 1 quite nicely, and he's looking much more under control, although running right away out to the outside curb there. And he comes over the hills, and I hate braking for that corkscrew, because no matter what you do, you lock up, and that lock up not necessarily is provided the 2 tenths down that he is from Martin Palm. Palm, of course, made his mistake on the very last corner, so if Reino can just hold it on together, he may well still have time yet. But that is a wibble wobble. Call him Roundtree's jelly, as he just about gets going on. Buckarooing indeed, says the cameraman in my ear. And round the final corner, he negotiated that one better, but unfortunately that's not helped at all. Wenzel goes 6th, Reino Room goes 2nd, just a 10th off the pace, and that 10th was lost by his wibble wobble bibble bubble down into the second last corner, and that's a shame there, as Ilja Bacalo pops up into pole position provisionally now for Turret Motorsport Mobile, and Hans-Peter Mead, who makes his debut for Online Motorsport, goes into 5th, and he's the top Lexus so far, as who's that, Kyrol Aziz pops into 4th position in the Mobile. So they're all coming thick and fast now with 2 minutes to go. There's a little mini flurry of cars now quickly going onto the track, and they'll have to be out very quickly, because otherwise I can see Norman Bruce still sitting in the pits, as is Ihab Abbas. They're cutting it a little bit too fine for my liking, and they may not be able to get round to complete their hot lap. That won't be any good at all. So currently, with just under 2 minutes to go, Ilja Bacalo currently has provisional pole from Martin Palm, Reino Room, Kyrol Aziz, Oscar Hardwick, Hans-Peter Mead, James Kirk, Reino Muru, Cameron Brewster and Marco Wenzel in the top 10 currently at the moment. There's one of the big hitters still yet to come, and Ihab Abbas making a right hash of the pit exit just off the corner of my eye. And let's see who we're going to go and take a little look at. In fact, Ihab Abbas down in 18th position, spinning on the exit of the pit lane, and I think that has now left him with too little time to get round. Norman Bruce has not taken to the track at all, so on his debut he's obviously gone for dinner. It's not worked out at all for him. I think Ihab's left it too late. So we've still got Andreas Stankiewicz, former Spoljaric, Henry Vierok, and Tyrone Frith out as well. So let's see, we've got Vierok then, P17. Spoljaric just clipping around in the distance. That's following around, 40 seconds to go, they're cutting it nice and fine. Vierok running off the line entirely there down the home straight. I always struggle with the braking to turn 1, and Vierok braking with 2 wheels over the white line, trying to cut the radius of that corner as much as possible in order to gain as much line speed as you can. It is risky indeed, as my cameraman just pops into my ear. I've had a few little offs there as well. Same with those curbs, and Vierok another lock up, and yeah, come on back. It's like a boomerang. You need to get back on, Henry. As he comes through, Spoljaric not visibly closing in particularly. Of course, everyone's starting. Ooh, Vierok out very wide. Everyone starts weight free for round 1, so this is really the best time where everyone will be on an even kill. And Vierok very heavily locking up both tyres, under braken, and he's 5 tenths down. Spoljaric just behind, not particularly looking much quicker either, to be fair. So we shall soon see. Tyrone Frith just popping across the line for TTF in their full-time return, goes 15th and currently slowest of the drivers at the moment, as Vierok and Spoljaric enter into the final turn. And let's see what this does for the Shindigaroo. Vierik across the line. And he should pop in about 5th. Yes, indeed he does. 1 second off the pace. Lost a lot in the final sector. Spoljaric only goes 4th. Half a second off the pace. That won't please him at all. Stankiewicz in P18 coming across the line. And he goes 5th. So that's that. Ehab Abbas speeding around in P19 to try and sort out his lap. And he's looking like he's going to try and grab this 5th position. It seems to be so hotly contested. Across the line he comes for Union Motorsports Inc. Oh, 12. That didn't work out well at all because he was okay until the final sector. So that obviously buggered that up. So, yeah, just looking at the final sector, let me just take a little look at that because that was bizarre. Yeah, 37.3 in the final sector, so that's not too bad. Yeah, the first sector was particularly good. And Norman Bruce did complete 2 laps earlier in the session, actually, but did not complete a time, so I wonder if he binned it somewhere and that was the end of that. So, Ilja Bracalo then takes the first pole position of GRC Season 13 for Touring Motorsport Mobile, ahead of Martin Palm for Touring Motorsport Simmons Skins. Is that some kind of condom machine? 3rd for Reino Room in Team Estonia, flying the flag, Eurovision style, ahead of Borna Spoljaric in the 2nd Sims and Skins. I wonder if they do that in ultra safe. So as we move forward to the warm-up, let me take you through rules and regulations for GRC. It's enough rolling. We have 8 rounds, and we're thinking this will be our little swan song, which is why we've got it in early for R Factor 1 before we start looking at R Factor 2 for future seasons. We'll be here at Laguna Seca, and then for the next 7 rounds following that, we'll be there on Mondays from about 8 o'clock British time. We'll be travelling to Interlagos, Most in the Czech Republic, Bahrain, the international circuit, of course, the good one, Silverstone, Norris Ring. Ah, good old Norris. Can't beat a Norris unless you've got a shopping trolley. Then Autopolis, which I don't think we've ever visited for GRC, and if we have, it's been a very long time. And Manfield in New Zealand. Good little circuit, that one. So a nice little collection of circuits scattered across the globe. Each one will have 3 mini rounds contested in them. We may have just 1 endurance round, and that will be in Bahrain for round 4. Oh dear. I remember that one being a crash fest. I remember one of the very few times I've ever crashed out of a retirement for GRC was I was running so well and I was so excited at Bahrain. I got so excited I basically just floored the pedal that I found myself battling around in a top 10 position and just went spearing off into a tile. That was that. Everywhere else though we'll have 3 rounds of 20 minutes or a set period of laps. Round 1 we'll see the order of the grid ordered out by how they qualified, as you've seen just now. Then round 2 will be the finishing order of what they finished in round 1. And then round 3 we'll see the top either 5 to 8 cars first round, and that number will be auto-generated from random.com. New features for this season is the fact that we've gone back to a multi-car mod. The by far popular one is the BMW 320Si, but there are some Lexus cars out there too, and in essence they're very, very, very similar indeed. The only real differences are going to be the actual wheelbases themselves, which may mean, depending on your driving style, you may prefer one slightly over another. Having had a quick poo all round in them both, I found them very, very similar, and it really wouldn't have bothered me which way it would have gone for. I think I'd probably, why I'm down towards the back end of the grid, I'd have gone purely on aesthetic look and not necessarily on drivability at all. But hey ho, never mind. And of course, the action will always be here on simracer.tv. where I will be taking you through that as per usual. And if you do fancy getting involved, because the top 20 score points, so it won't ever happen, but if everyone does finish, they'll all score. So why not get in and score some points as well? Go on. While it's a little bit quiet, a few people are coming in for like rows 2 and 3 onwards, so this is a good little springboard for the championship contenders to get a little bit of a nose in. Get your nose in every little nook and cranny. Have a sniff around. Hope it doesn't smell of trout. And then, yeah, sign yourself up. rfgrc.co.uk. Mods there waiting for you. So what have I been doing in the off season? We had Jubilee, didn't we? Lovely pair of Jubilees. That was quite nice. We paid for her Jubilee. One doesn't do rain. I bloody well did. Do you know what? And the day before that, in fact it was much more fun. I'd completely forgot about the Jubilee a little bit. I decided to plan the day with my other half and some of our friends, and just a day of eating, or a weekend of eating. And we went up to Reading for a chili festival. It was awesome. And I took part in a chili challenge, and I had to eat something called, it was called Paul's Pizza, and it's called the Salt Dean Sizzler. And the chili sauce and the chilies on it measure 3.2 million on the Scoville scale. And I ate it, and apparently I took it quite well, which is a comment I have heard before, but that's another story for another day. And yeah, I felt quite fine. Then I decided to walk back to the station, and I was sweating like a moose, and I couldn't move, and I felt really bad. And it was quite funny because beforehand I'd been taunting firemen and army men that they were crying on the floor because they couldn't eat this pizza, and I, the fat moose that I am, just wandered over and scoffed it, and I was like, ha!
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now?
We then went to see a drag show afterwards, and the comedy was so bad, and that's what I blame it on, I proceeded to chuck the pizza up all over the streets of Twickenham. It was wonderful. That was my Jubilee, really, apart from a really good food festival in Waterloo, where I spent lots of money and ate lots. Simple life, me. And it's a simple life for these sim racers, as we're now lining forward for the grid itself. And let me take you down the field as we go around on a formation lap for this 12 lap round 1 of 3 here at Laguna Seca. Ilja Picalo, pole man, will it be pole sitting at the end of the race? It's right, Motorsport Mobile. Alongside him, Martin Palm, hoping to ditch that bridesmaid costume once and for all. He's not done very well starting second on the grid. Is that the more shape of things to come? Reno Broom, Team Estonia, welcome back to GRC Reno. Borna Spoljaric, last year's champion, starts 4th. Last season's champion, sorry, starts 4th. 5th for Andreas Stankiewicz, Time Motorsports Osiris, ahead of Kyril Aziz, who is making his first full-time season debut, I think, in 6th position. Henry Virok, 7th for Team Estonia. 8th, Oscar Hardwick for Torrent Motorsports Osiris. 9th, welcome, debutant, Hans-Peter Mead for OnlineMotorsport.com. Welcome. And James Kirk, starting his first full season for the 6th Axis Racing. They've got 2 teams, and the second team isn't here today, but we wish them speedy recoveries from whatever lag they've got. TTFR Motorsports have got Reinu Muru in 11th position. Around MIA, ahead of Ehab Abbas in a Top Union Motorsports Inc. car. Cameron Brewster is 13th position in the second of the 6th Axis Racing cars, ahead of Mirko Wenzel making his debut for OnlineMotorsport.com. And best of luck to the debutants here today. Paul Joseph, the most experienced man at GRC, in 15th position. They're really bunching up into the corkscrew, got to be careful there. For Union Motorsport International. 16th for Stuart Fleming. And a little Scottish team, James Ross, the independent, in 17th position, ahead of the second of the Scots, Dave Robertson. Then TTF Racing for Tyrone Frith, starts 19, with Norman Bruce making his debut in P20. and that will do quite nicely indeed, I'm sure. And it's Team Core, sorry, is Dave Robertson and Stuart Fleming. All I could remember was the Durex cars, and then they changed to Iron Brew. Apologies. So, the cars lining themselves up onto the grid. Norman Bruce just lighting up his tyres before he takes up stock at the back. And he's done so now. He's held on. Well, it was Tyrone actually taking a while to get there. So, GRC Season 13 is go! And yeah, they're all away just about. Someone's off to a flyer in the midfield, but Bracano's got away lovely. Palm is in second, but Stankiewicz is barging through, and he's going to go up into third position, depending on Spoljaric. Voyrok heavy on the brakes down into turn one. Everyone else looking like they've got round safely, and for the first time in a very long time I can see everyone has perfectly got round turn one. Well done, guys, as they all come steaming through. Hardwick, they're bashing round with Khairul Aziz, but they've just about made it out in 7 and 8. But it's Bracalo clearly ahead of Palm. Stankiewicz, a great start to third, ahead of Spoljaric, Room, Virok, Hardwick, Aziz, Muru, and Abat moves up into 10th position, just ahead of James Kirk. Then there's a slight gap to Hans Peter Mead and the rest of the gang behind. But lovely stuff. This is the kind of racing I like to see. Everyone quite happily away, and knowing that actually there's 12 racing laps of action as the field stream up the hill. Now this corkscrew on lap 1 is normally a bit of a challenge at the best of times. Let's see how 20 cars will deal with it as they all come streaming through. Aziz has jumped Hardwick for 7 and 8, so that's a change of position there. Reinu Muru was the man that I saw get off to a lightning start. He's up to 9 from what was 11th, I believe, on the grid. Everyone else steaming through. Cameron Bruce has lost a couple of positions. And Norman Bruce, they're just dropping off ever so slightly on the back, but he ran deep into turn 1, and that's why. But Bracalo quite happily pulling away up front as they cross over the line to complete lap 1. He's got 8/10 of a second advantage, not quite enough for the DRS zone, I feel, as Stankiewicz has to go defensive on Borna Spoljaric, who's trying to dive around the outside. Careful on the apron, it's slippery out there like some kind of dirty, sexy money star. But Stankiewicz holds him off for the time being, and Spoljaric not feeling brave enough to hang on round the outside to keep the inside for the next curve. That's allowing the Team Estonia duo to keep a watching brief. Hardwick is now starting to bottle up Aziz and Muru, as is James Kirk as well, and that's someone in problems there, and that's Borna Spoljaric trying to get down the inside in a corner that doesn't really revolve around braking. Look at Reino Room there fancying a look too, as they all start to bottle up, and this is allowing Palm and Bracalo to happily go away, and that will sort them out for later on, as Bracalo actually getting onto the curbs quite dramatically at the bottom of the hill's descent, and nearly losing a little bit of time and car. But the battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th is not a good time to do a lunge down into the corkscrew, but Stankiewicz is all over the place, and Bracalo's going to have a much better exit, and that's going to allow him to go side by side. And Spoljaric there pushed out a bit wide. The Laguna Seca circuit is so wishy-washy that as soon as you're off the racing line you really struggle to keep the car going. I will think that truck in the background is not a car parked up already as they come diving down into turn 2. Every time I see it I'm like, there's a car up! But no Simon, it's just a GIF. As Aziz and Hardwick side by side out of the final turn, but that's not going to do anything, as here comes a free car train. That's something I've seen on XTube a few times. Spoljaric trying to go down and into the inside of turn 1. Stankiewicz is late on the brakes. There's a little bit of contact. Spoljaric nudges his way through and takes 3rd position. Stankiewicz has looked a little bit ragged for the opening couple of laps after what was a stonking start. Now down to 4, although he's harrying the back of Spoljaric all the way through. They've dropped 3.5 seconds off of the back of Bracalo and Palm. So they're going to have to get their moves on if they're going to get back up the order again. Great battles going on slightly further down the field as well, behind the Spoljaric and Stankiewicz battle, and you've got Room and Virok. Aziz, Hardwick and Muru have gone into a little trio. Then behind, James Kirk is busy holding off Abbas, Mead, Wenzel, Joseph, Fleming, Brewster and Robertson, all in a big collection of cars together, and they're all steaming through. There's Martin Palm. My goodness me, he was it looked like he's in a gymnastic competition the way I was leaping across the curbs there. as down into the corkscrew for the second half of the field, and I'm really impressed actually by the level of driving that's gone on here at the moment, although James Ross doing an awful lock up into the curb, and someone's off, and that is James Kirk struggling slightly, and someone else locking up heavily down into the final corner, and that was Stankiewicz, I believe. So fast lap by Bricalo, eats out another 0.3 of a second over Palm. The gap now 1.3 seconds. 3.7 down is Borna, as here comes Ehab Abbas having a go at James Kirk. Kirk goes defensive, having to soak up the pressure here on what is his second outing here on GRC. It's good to see new teams like the Sixth Axis Racing and OnlineMotorsport.com involved, and Abbas trying desperately to go around the inside. Kirk doing good evasive action there. He's obviously got all hands on deck as he tries to get everything round the right kinds of corner. And I say warp speed to you, Kirk, because you need to keep that to stay in the top 10, because you've got a right little train of aliens behind you. And they include Ehab Abbas, Hans-Peter Mead, Mikko Wenzel, and Paul Joseph. There's Stuart Fleming and Cameron Brewster are still there, and they're starting to drop Dave Robertson. But that is the entire Lexi all together in a little cluster. There's Abbas. My goodness me, is that going to allow Peter Mead through? Side by side into the corkscrew. This is not the done thing. Peter Mead goes heavy on the brakes and just about goes through. Is Abbas trying to go for a contact between the two? Peter Mead, they're being pushed right off wide, and well, Hans probably doing particular Chewbacca moments there. Go through the corkscrew, but Abbas, well, he's known for his elbow tactics, and that's where he was getting them right out there. Angry elbows to the front, and Wenzel there having a little nose on his teammate, and that's actually going to allow the other Union Motorsport car through. As contact between Stankiewicz and Room down in 4 and 5 down into turn 1, and Room going round the outside of Stankiewicz. Reino Room, oh my goodness me, not plenty of room on the apron at all, but not enough room left for Stankiewicz at all. Is right, coining the term Spankiewicz as they continue their battle. So pushed on through, also change of position. Stuart Fleming's got round Paul Joseph for 14 and 15. As Stankiewicz having a go again, there's lights flashing as they brake, and is he going to punt him off round the outside? I've got the worst camera angle possible, but no, they've kept it just about room round the outside, and that has allowed Spoljaric to put out 2-second advantage already on this lap alone. As you really lose time hands over fist as soon as you start battling. It's nuts. As, my goodness me, Lungelina down into the corkscrew, just about both keeping it on the road. Virok is not making a dent, although Aziz and Hardwick continue to battle away for 7th and 8th, and they're dropping now Reino Muru. Then Abbas and Kirk side by side out of the corkscrew, but Kirk keeps P10 for the time being. Abbas runs out wide. The two Online Motorsport cars continue to follow suit as they spear round to start lap 6 of 12. Bricalo 1.3 ahead of Palm. They're just pegging each other. Spoljaric in 3rd. Room still 4, keeping a small margin ahead of Stankiewicz, who's trying the old "I'll scare you off the road" tactic. Oh, as here comes, my goodness me, almost 3 wide as Abbas and Kirk and Peed, and look at Kirk trying to do the switcheroo, and that's going to be potential contact turning into actual contact down at turn 1. Abbas trying to run rings around the spaceman, and that's not really worked out well for Kirk, who's now got to be all eyes on ears about him, because Hans-Peter Mead has looked very racy, and he's now fancying a look at 11th position. Kirk running out wide. I think Abbas may have unsettled him slightly with his argy-bargy tactics, and now Hans-Peter Mead is going for a run on the inside. Kirk does not. Oh, Kirk just chopping across there very aggressively as he holds his racing line, and Hans-Peter Mead continues to stay in 13th. They've got Wenzel Fleming, who has overtaken Paul Joseph, and Cameron Brewster's right up behind Paul Joseph as well, as that little trio battle away. They've dropped David Robertson ever so slightly by 2 seconds, and Fleming, Joseph and Brewster are all flying onto the brakes, and Stuart Fleming Come on, come on, back on the black stuff, and that's going to allow Paul Joseph to run round. Will Brewster have a go at trying to get through as well? He's having a go down onto the inside. Is that going to work? No, it's not. Fleming, oh, goodness me, Fleming just having a problem. And Wenzel's gone round Peter Mead for 12th and 13th. Hans-Peter Mead making a mistake into the second to last corner. Wenzel goes round the outside, so Mirko's got a Smirko on because he's now going to be the leading online motorsport car as they cross the line to start lap 7. And this is what GRC is all about. Classic racing, no drama, everyone staying on track. And yeah, this is what we like to see. All 20 drivers still running. Tyrone Frith is in 18th. He's got round James Ross, who's lost out somewhere. Norman Bruce still going in 20th position, going to pick up a point on debut if he stays there, albeit running about 2 seconds off the pace of everyone else. Side by side, Aziz and Virok for 6 and 7 as they come up the hill. Aziz thinks better of it. Virok holds on for Team Estonia. Aziz feeling very much at ease to try and get himself up the order, but that's not necessarily the corner that you try it at. But very difficult, I think, round this circuit because people can run wide and miss apexes, and then you have to kind of chop across a little bit. That's contact! Aziz sliding off. What has he got on his wheels? Soap. A little bit of guns lube. And once again down 4-wheel drifting. That's going to ruin his tyres, which I think will struggle around this Laguna Seca circuit anyway because of the amount of locking up. And Virok now steaming everything. It's like he's got a kettle boiling underneath one of his wheels. Aziz now side by side with Virok. Virok touching. He's trying to push across. That's not the way to do it. You've got to go wide and let some room for the other car. Aziz trying to cut as much as he can as best as possible, and that's not going to work. Free wide. Oscar Hardwick may be the one that picks up best out of this because Aziz has been wrong positioned as Virok goes aggressively defensive, which is an oxymoron in itself, and Hardwick yoinks 7th position. Aziz is going to steam back up the order again to try and get it through. Nowhere to go. Mirko Wenzel has overtaken James Kirk into turn 1 for 12th positions as well, just off your screens. But Virok holding up Hardwick and Aziz, and that's not going to help at all as James Kirk now under attack from the second online motorsport.com car as they sandwich each other, and that's not something that you're going to be having. Yeah, it's a Lexi sandwich, and that's not something you can buy in Dirty Greg's, is it? As they come up the hill, they've dropped Paul Joseph, not Poe Joseph. He's not a Teletubby. Well, might be, but we'll soon find out. Anyway, Poe's a little one. I'd rather be the one with the man bag. As Bracalo now under attack by Martin Palm up front as well, as those two have closed right down. The gap just half a second. We'll see what's going on up front with them. In fact, actually, Palm now dropping away again. So I don't know if Bracalo had a little bit of a drama. There's a change of position. Oh, James Kirk off. P13. And that's not worked at all. James Kirk running wide out of the second to last corner, drop behind Peter Mead. That won't help him at all, down to 13th position. I thought tyres may be an issue. It seems that some drivers are now starting to get a little bit ragged and struggle. So onward we go. So Carlo under attack from Martin Palm, who does like to do his little mid-race, like a midlife crisis or a midriff drift. As Bracalo. Well, there's no wonder if his tyres are going off or if he's just struggling and throwing it around. And, Bracalo feels a need to go very defensive. Palm going for the old ducktail switcheroo through, and that's not going to help him at all. This is all going to start playing into the hands of Borna Spoljaric, 4 seconds exactly behind as he was in the last sector from Bracalo himself. As round the Laguna Seca circuit, you cannot just battle and keep up speed. You will lose time hand over fist. And to be honest, no one really wants a good old fisting around this circuit. Spoljaric then keeping it up. Change of position. Hans Peter Mead has gone past Mirko Wenzel again for 11th and 12th. Those online motorsport cars really swapping positions left, right and centre, and none of them really staying on the racetrack on the second to last corner. That won't help at all. There's been something else going on as well. Stuart Fleming's been trouble because he's dropped down to 17th position behind Cameron Brewster and Dave Robertson. So he's had an off somewhere, or a little miniature excursion, as the field starts to peter out slightly. Virok and Aziz still very close in 6 and 7 as well. So still a couple of juicy little battles on lap 10 of 12. Up the hill come the leaders. Something's changed. Oh, it's Aziz. He's gone round. He's done one of his four-wheel drifts, and through goes Hardwick. Aziz rejoined in 8th position. Reino Muru may have a good run at him, and he's fancying a dive through, and Aziz is going to push right across because that is exactly Aziz's way. Off they both fly. What's Aziz going to do? Can he keep his foot in? Yes, he does. And that's a little bit harsh, I feel, there by Kyril, who I know gets up at ridiculous hours to do these races. Muru there caught out because he was coming into the corner from an awkward angle. And that's not going to help the TTFR Motorsports driver, and that drops him right off now from Aziz, who basically, when I clicked on them, had made contact with Virok and was spinning, basically four-wheel drifting down the corner, which is never the quickest way to get round anything, no matter how impressive it is, as Bracalo runs out wide in turn 1. That's going to allow Palm to get back up again, even though the gap was 0.8 of a second on the second last lap. Aziz and Muru still very close. So the online motorsport duo of Mead and Wenzel. Kirk and Joseph, so that now the 13th and 14th. Brewster on his own 15. Then the team core duo of Robertson and Fleming, ever inseparable last year, inseparable again this year. Ty and Frisch still ahead of James Ross, and Norman Bruce still going and unlapped as well. And this could be the first in a while where everyone, not only is everyone finished, but everyone's on the lead lap as well, showing a new maturity here in the driving here of GRC. If anything, Bracalo, a very strange entry into the corkscrew. And that's lost him a bucket of time. The bucket quite obviously had a hole in it because the sands of time are dripping through. And Palm has only really got two good options really left. One's at the end of the straight that they're coming into, and I don't think he's close enough to really have a stab at it. And Spoljaric, strangely, not really closing in on them either. These two definitely have the legs on our reigning champion. He's 4.1 behind, despite the fact that these two are battling. It's really not come together. As Paul Joseph moves into 13th position, past James Kirk, round the outside into the third last corner. Great move there by Paul Joseph, ever the mercurial GRCer. As James Kirk, my goodness me, he's obviously saw a meteor down at the final corner. He had to go round it, and that's going to allow the Bowser, as I like to call him, up onto the back. And this could be a 6-axis. Let's hope they aren't using motion controls on their PS3 controllers, because otherwise I feel that there may be problems down into turn 1, but the two of them get away with that for the time being. But top of the hill for Bracalo and Palm, our leading duo, and Palm submissively going through, but Bracalo takes such a tight inside line, it's really affecting his exit out of that corner. But Palm's got nothing doing, just a couple of corners left to go. Maybe Palm might fancy a half little stab down into the final corner. What can he do? It might be worthwhile just feigning one over and seeing what he can do, and that's exactly what he's doing. Is he going to have a run for it? No! Bracalo goes late on, locks up the car, takes a wider berth and keeps the victory as they come up across the line. Bilger Bracalo takes the first win of GRC Season 13 here at Laguna Seca by 0.4 of a second. Fantastic result. Martin Palm will be second. Borna Spoljaric third for a 2-3 for Sims and Skins. Oscar Hardwick's off the road at the final corner because Reino Room is 4. Stankiewicz is 5. Virok, yoink, 6th at the very last corner. Hardwick there's off in, well, Canada by the time he'd got back. Aziz narrowly holds off Reinu Muru for 8th and 9th position. Ihab Abbas grabs 10th for Union Motorsports ahead of a very competent debut for Hans-Peter Mead and Mirko Wenzel for 11th and 12th. Online Motorsports. Paul Joseph's going to grab 13th ahead of James Kirk, who, warp speed, comes down into 14th ahead of Cameron Brewster, who's only narrowly just ahead of Dave Robertson, who had a resurgence at the end. Stuart Fleming across the line in 17th position ahead of Tyrone Frith for TTF, marking his return to GRC. James Ross is 19th as our independent, getting himself up and running, and Norman Bruce, very consistent, his fastest lap time so far, 1:36.939, going round the last corner. And well done, Norman. I was going to say Norman Bates. Norman Bruce to come through and score a single point on debut. And that, my man, is no mean feat at all. 20 started, 20 finished. Now is a damn good collection of racing from top to bottom. Well, monsieur, with this GRC you are really spoiling us. Todd Ferrero Rocher, give me sim racing any day. And that's the way to do it! So, strike one to TMO.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Just for those that are wondering, you get 30 points for a win. 25 for second, 22 for third, then 19, 17, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11 points for 10th position, and then 1 all the way down to 20th. If you finish outside of that, well, just like a 5-knuckle shuffle, you're there for the ride. So, a couple of minutes warm up before we get on to round 2, where the order will be that they started. I've started how I finished. Slight adaptation of the well-known phrase. A couple of things from the drivers themselves. James Kirk just saying his tyres just died halfway through. I think we noticed that one. And then just lots of people. Ilja, pole fastest lap and win. Of course, the old tricolor. Good stuff indeed. Nice racing, Carul, says Oscar. Nigel Picardo taking his thanks and saying it wasn't easy because Mr. Palm was not making a single noticeable mistake. And that is why he's always Mr. Consistent. He is the ladies' favourite, Mr. Palm. Never falters. So it's not just the GRC events that you're watching today that we have going on Gentleman's Racing Club. Oh no, James! I'm so sorry, James Ross. He'd left his broadcast on in the background. Oh, Jamie, who's behind you? Uh-oh. Karen Brewster saying he has a twitchy arse, so I'd go to a gum clinic for that. We've also got, for GRC, the Mad Dog Endurance series, which runs on the weekends. And, yes, anyone that quite fancies a little bit of endurance action should sign themselves up to that. Next round of that is coming up on the 20th of June for Le Mans. Le Mans. So if you fancy getting involved in the action of that. Of course, Sim Racing or simrace.tv will have its only one-off special Le Mans 24-hour race coming up in 2 weekends' time. You've got the real the real Le Mans, I say real with one of those really annoying clicky people that like to do the speech marks around the words because they think they're all that hip and nerdy and trendy when actually I just want to spank your face. But yes, we'll have the real one next week. But we all know that you're really more excited about the sim one that's coming up 2 weekends after. Where myself, so Malush, we don't really have lives anymore. We gave up all abandon of trying to have a real life years ago. For the 23rd and 24th of June. Keep your diaries clear, and if you're not driving, A, why the hell aren't you? And B, tune in to simrace.tv, because I'm planning on at least having a beer an hour. Maybe shouldn't tell my bosses that, to be fair. But yeah, beer an hour. Could be a car crash. No takeaways. I've just been told. I won't bother with a takeaway, not after last time. Eye of a needle was not even the words. So, yeah. Tune in and be square. Or round. Or just rotund like me. Rotund, that's such a good word. Anyway. Moving on. Slowly. Surely. This is coming through to the start of round 2.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
I've yet to get R Factor 2, and we will be probably running season 14 on it, so I will be getting it at some point. But I would like to know, do they have as equally awesome announcement that will become part of folklore of sim racing when you go to the race session? It needs to. And I wonder if you can actually kind of mod that yourself, so that they could actually insert technically clips of like commentatings going, "Get on grid!" or something like that. So we run round on the formation lap and take you through the grid. For round 2, once again 12 laps of course, with high octane pixelated filth on a stick. George Bacale on pole position. Alongside him will be Martin Palm for Trent Motorsport. Sims and Skins. Teammate Bonus Boliak, third on the grid, with Team Estonia's Reino Room. Fourth. Andreas Stankiewicz for Trent Motorsport's Osiris. And the second Team Estonia car of Henry Vierok in 6th position. I hope they are really Estonian, otherwise treason calls to mind. Stone them. 7th, Oscar Hardwick. Charlie Sports Osiris. He's not a Syrian. Kyril Aziz. A little Malaysian. 8th, GTFR for Reno Muri. In 9th, God knows what time it is in Malaysia. Surely it's sleeperoo. Sleep o'clock. 10th, Ehab Abbas for Union Motorsports Inc. Hans-Peter Mead and Mirko Wenzel make up an all-row 6 for OnlineMotorsport.com, ahead of Paul Joseph in the second of the Union Motorsport cars. And all 4 Lexi together on the grid as well. And a little love fest there. Then it all goes a little bit Noah's Ark 2x2. The 2 6-axis racing cars of James Quirk, Pauline Quirk and Cameron Brewster. 14-15, then the Team Core duo of Dave Robertson and Stuart Fleming, 16 and 17. Heart of the Core. 18th for TTF's Tyrone Frith. Ah, Soul Independent. All by myself. 11 minutes past 4 in Malaysia, says the man with all knowledge. I'm sure actually Simon Melhuish is just really running the sim racing version of The Truman Show. because he just wherever there is sim racing, he is there. And Norman Bruce lining up 20th. He's just lighting up his tyres. Obviously, I mean, I saw that he had trouble down into turn 1. I wonder if he felt actually that he was got cold tyres by the time he'd get there. But if he had cold tyres, God knows what the rest of the field was like by the time they got there. As here come the lights, and it ain't no disco. And we're off and away for round 2 of GRC Season 12. Ricardo once again off to a good start, already cut across Palm. Spogliaric way clear of Stankiewicz, who's not quite got the start that he wanted last time, or this time round like last time. Room is having a dive through on Stankiewicz. Ricardo's gone way out wide, and that's going to allow Palm to dive through as well. Ricardo in so much no man's land, he's in China. Hardwick's round as well in the Osiris, and down the order he goes because everyone else, all Cameron Brewster's in trouble as well. He's dropped down to last. So Hardwick down to 17th, Brewster down to 20th, Ross down to 19th. So that's not helping at all, as the first trio of cars that have pulled away. Stankiewicz had a terrible getaway, somehow still managed to stay in 4th, but Bracalo back ahead of Palm, so they've switcherood around. And who's that changing? That's Wenzel then has got round. Oh, it's Hardwick's round again! What is he doing? It's like a spin top. Poor guy. So Oscar going for, well, a Razzie as opposed to an Oscar. Now down to last position. He's got it all to do. That'll cause us some upheaval. But it's Bracalo, Palm, Spogliaric, Stankiewicz, Aziz up to 5th now. Vierok 6th. The Muru, Room, Abbas, Wenzel, Joseph, Kirk, Fleming, Robertson, Frith, Mead, Bruce, Ross and Hardwick is already got past Brewster and is diving through on Ross and Bruce at the same corner, sliding four-wheel drifting through, now in 17th position. In fact, Norman Bruce has backed out of it to let the other cars through, so that's all to go on with as the midfield they're really struggling. Oh, James Kirk and Peter Mead 15th and 16th bashing each other as Hardwick now has a go. Everyone else scrambling through. And it's Bracalo, Palm and Spogliaric, and Palm's run out slightly wide in turn 1s, and that's going to allow Spogliaric to have half a sniff. Well, can you smell what the Palm is cooking? Not quite sure. It's a little bit stale as Robertson gets past Tyrone Frith, who'd made himself up to 13th position from 18th, so that's a great start by the Englishman. As the field filter their way through. Once again, just like last race, we've kind of separated off into our own little battles. As Hardwick gets past James Kirk, he's now to 16th position. As, talk about twitchy R's, everyone's got this problem with an STD. Stankiewicz, oh, Stankiewicz, a massive crash at the top of the hill. I don't know if he's out of the race. Yeah, he's out. Our first retirement of the evening. And let me take a little look. Oh, he ran wide out and just smashed into the inside wall, lost a wheel. And Andreas Stankiewicz is out of round 2 of Laguna Seca, and that is really, really going to compromise his and Osiris's event. Osiris having a torrid round 2 here at the moment, with Hardwick dropping down to last and Stankiewicz in the wall. And Bracalo has got Palm and Spogliaric right up behind him. And in fact, actually, that was a forlonged camera shot. I was just getting a little bit excitable, but Martin Palm fastest lap, even though it looks like Spogliaric's more all over the back of him, and Palm goes down too wide, and well, Mr. Spaghetti Head himself will try and go through side by side to turns 2 and 3. Palm holds it just for now. Once again running out wide. This is uncharacteristic of Martin. He's normally Mr. Smooth Suave, and that is why he's a smooth ladies operator, as Tyrone Frith retakes Oscar Hardwick for 13th and 14th positions off our screens. And here comes Spogliaric. Go again. There's contact between the two there. I don't know, awkward camera angle, but I think it was, for where I was seeing contact as they tapped Palm's rear. Hardwick now through onto 13th position. Now going to go at Dave Robertson. He's now up to 12th. And Hans-Peter Mead takes Tyrone Frith for 14th and 15th. So Frith now going, well, getting short Frith and going back down the field. Aziz and Room for 4th and 5th. Side by side into the corkscrew, sorry. God knows how they made that work. That was an accident in waiting, and they've made it through just about. as Hans-Peter Mead takes Dave Robertson for 13th and 14th positions as well. So it's all kicking off as the field is slightly wrong-footed with a few people's mistakes here in round 2. And look at that! Room, Virok, Aziz and Muru all squabbling out of the final turn, and Aziz has got Virok and Muru and they're practically nose to tail pushing each other up the hill in a train. Virok's got round Muru. Is he going to pull out and have a go? It's Aziz. Aziz is on the old hairpin, and that's wave bye-bye as Aziz is off contact with Virok, and he's getting himself back going again all the time. It's costing him positions and positions. That gravel is hard to get out of, I know. I visited it many times. James Kirk pushing round Tyrone Frith, who's once again getting short shrift down into turn 1. And, well, a little bit more messier this time round. James Ross in trouble as well. He's down in 19th position, half a minute off the leader, so he's been in trouble somewhere off track too. So a few guys now deciding that they've felt they've got a little bit warmed up and are testing the waters. Palm and Spoljaric have lost 2 seconds to Bracalo on this lap, so I don't know what they've been up to as well, but they're now having their own little winter team battle, and it's now in Bracalo to romp away up front as Room stays for put your teeth in, followed by Virok, Muru, Abbas, Wenzel now up into 8th in his first outing. Paul Joseph 9, Hardwick back up to 10. Stuart Fleming 11 for Team Core. That's a fantastic result for him, ahead of Hans-Peter Mead, David Robertson. Kirk has still got Kyril Aziz behind him, then Brewster, Frith, Bruce now up to 18th position, and James Ross 19th. Norman Bruce will be pleased with that one as Palm and Spoljaric dive into turn 1 on lap 5 of 12. We're coming up to half distance at the end of this lap, and actually the best battle that we've got on track is Stuart Fleming in 11th position in a Team Core, ahead of Hans-Peter Mead for Online Motorsport, and he's going to have a go round the outside, may go off into the apron. Stuart Fleming giving him plenty of room, and Mead has nowhere to go on that one. And Stuart doing good defensive action as Kyril Aziz dives past Kirk for 14th just behind them, and Aziz freed up for that as once again Hans-Peter Mead, he's already shown on his first outing he's got some overtaking nous, and I think he's going to size up for another good opportunity. Maybe down at this corner you can get half a look in, depending on how willing Fleming is, but actually Fleming had very good pace out of that corner, and that's worked out quite nicely indeed. The two TMO cars still battling away for second and third. They may have a go down into turn 1 maybe, and Abbas has got Wenzel all over him as well. But Mead going to have a go at Fleming, and he's through before they get to the corkscrew. But is he going to be last of the late breakers? Indeed he is. That's always so risky to be on the inside into the corkscrew, because that bump is even more heavier than what it normally is. And Dave Robertson now fancying a go round the outside of Fleming. That's not going to work out at all in the Team Core duos. Of course, teammates, they're not going to be pressurising that too much. And my goodness, if two Scots take themselves off, they might as well just samurai sword each other's heads off screen, because that's the kind of way the things are in my old homeland. As Martin Palm continues to hold off Spoljaric, I'll keep an eye on that. But they're now 4.5 seconds away from Bracalo, and this is what happens when you are battling. Because this circuit, time just washes away. I've seen it time and time again around this circuit. Yet there is no fast way to battle around here, whereas on other circuits you can kind of work together to battle and go up the order. Not here, it's always a drama. Aziz is now pulled up alongside Dave Robertson and is pushed across for 13th position, going off onto the gravel. That won't help at all, and Dave Robertson may have enough speed to have a run back through, or he may just think actually better of it because he knows that Aziz is fundamentally much faster. Indeed, he doesn't think any better of it and stays there. Hardwick has got round Paul Joseph off our screens. He's now in 9th position. Someone's lost, I don't know if that was the same bumper as Stanky Vicious that's still out there on track, but someone had ran over it, so that's not going to help anything at all. I think that may actually be James Ross's, because Ross is missing bumpers. Plural. That car has been abused. As, once again, P2 and 3, Spoljaric, they're getting caught out, I think, under braking from Martin Palm, and was all 4 wheels locked going into that corner. And Palm, the slower of the 2, Spoljaric, the more ragged of the 2. Reino Room, you can see there, just poking around in the background, not really pressurising these guys just yet, but they're now 5 seconds off the back of Bricalo, and here comes Spoljaric. He's having a move. Palm's not really going for any kind of riposte. He's just gone to tuck straight up behind. Don't have a go at this corner. My goodness me, do not have a go at that corner. As they both run right the way out to the edge. Let's see what they fancy down into the corkscrew. There's no way that you'll be able to do anything there. Spoljaric still taking a tighter line than Palm. And we filter through, but I think Spoljaric may well have that one covered. And if they start working together to try and reel in Bricalo, if they can, speed dependent, Bricalo's been on fire so far this evening. We'll soon see what happens. Room there closing a little bit up. Virok still got Reinu Muru behind him for 5 and 6. Those two having a good little scrap. If anything, actually, Muru closing down on Henry Virok for Team Estonia and TTFR Motorsports teams. And you can see in the background Ihab Abbas, Mirko Benzel in 8th, and Oscar Hardwick's closed down to those 2 as well. So that's going to be a battle any time soon. Aziz has got round Stuart Fleming, who's now in 12th position as well. So those cars trying desperately to recorrect themselves. Tyrone Frith's been in trouble. He's now down in 18th position behind Norman Bruce, although he and James Ross are closing down on the Brucey bonus very quickly indeed as they come out of the final turn in the battle for Wooden Spoon. And yeah, we'll see. If we get some more points, then Norman Bruce will probably think it's lovely. Where's his little showgirl? He needs to get one on his logo, or just a picture on maybe one of his bumpers, as Oscar Hardwick has a go at Mirko Benzel for 8th and 9th. Maybe Norman Bruce should get like just Brucey Bonus's chin on one of his bumpers. Oh, I'm easily amused. Benzel though goes in very deep into the corkscrew. That will do for now. Hardwick has to stay at bay, and that has really affected Benzel this lap, as immediately, as you can see, people, as soon as they start to battle, they can see Abbas is now caught up to the back of Muru, because Muru's had a problem, as Hardwick goes diving through on Benzel, and it's too deep! Oh dearie me! Once again, Hardwick deciding he fancies a beach holiday, kicks across loads of the cones as he gets back onto the track again, and, well, trying a little bit too hard, and the wick's up too high, and Oscar lives up to his name, unfortunately, there. There's Hans-Peter Mead under attack by Kyril Aziz for 11th and 12th down into turn 1. And just keeps it going. That will do, and Spoljaric's round Palm. Oh, did we see that? Oh. It was news to me, that one. Don't mind me. It's let's do the time warp again as we kind of stream through. It's all too much these days. Oh, it's Aziz and Mead side by side, and Mead has got the inside line. Can Aziz go around the outside? That's a brave man if he can. But well, I've seen some of his pork balls, and they're of the spicy variety, and that is what gives him a fast reputation as a hard driver. That's another out of the way. He's up to 11. Next up, Paul Joseph, Union Motorsport International, who's right there, actually, to be quite fair. And he's straight onto the back of the Union Motorsport International driver, who's currently kicking around on the outside of the top 10, which was for last year a lot of Paul Joseph's better results around there. As Aziz, that's an interesting move to try and have a go down there. He's going to touch. Oh, just about kicks out of it, and that's going to allow Peter Mead another go as Aziz pulls out to have a go down to the final turn. And great not great traction on the exit there. That's going to really hold him up. And Joseph and Mead and Aziz free wide as they come across the start-finish line. Fantastic action here. And Joseph's going to be the one who's going to miss out as through goes Aziz and Hans-Peter Mead. I believe that Joseph is in Division 2 and the other lot are in Division 1. So that will help out. Oh, great battle going on for 17, 18 and 19. Another lot that we're about to go free ride as Brucey Bonus has got short shift thrift and Rost behind him, and Oscar Hardwick gets past Wenzel, or Wurzel Gummidge as I keep wanting to say, as they come down to, or come up the hill. Remember you're a Wurzel. Oh, Hardwick! P8, cutting right across. Across? Oh, that's James Ross. It's all gone wrong. I've not even had a beer. This is awful. Lap 10 of 12 continues on. And Norman Bruce has got some fight in him. As Tyrone Frith continues to battle on. James Ross just behind. I could hear my cameraman going, oh, in the background, and hopefully he's not relieving himself, and there's a battle going on. What's going on? Oh, it's Spoljaric and Palm, I think, because Palm's having a look at Spoljaric. Down into turn 1 and 2, and Spoljaric's run out wide, but Palm is nowhere to make an opportunistic poise through of that. And Spoljaric hold on for there, but they're not closing in on Bracalo. They're really not. And that's a surprise. Bracalo really does. He's got the legs. There's Tyrone Frith in P18 having a go at Norman Bruce for 17, and that's going to be contact. No. Tyrone backed out of it. I shouldn't just really assume the worst. But Bruce there, not confident round some of these corners, and I think it's catching out Frith and Ross, and they've just got to make the right opportunity to have a go as Bruce continues clinging on round the outside. This is the battle for good points. Look at James Ross having a go. Sans bumpers everywhere, and he goes round Frith, and it all goes a bit horribly wrong. I've decided that I've got dribbly draws as they come piling down into turn 1, and Bruce just about holds it. He wants the Brucey bonus of the extra points in 17th, but he's going to have the Brucey bonus of the gravel trap if he continues going off that wide. Cuts right across on Ross, and look at Frith! He's made short work of that, and he has a pair of them down into turn 2. And poor old James Ross has been bullied back to 19th position again. And do you know what? I'll call him the Cactus Brothers. Oh, Norman! Oh, dear. Oh, that wasn't the Brucey bonus that he wanted. And unfortunately, well, he's still on for 2 points. That will do. We're on the last lap, amazingly. As Reino Room has caught the Spoljaric Palm battle, but it may be all a little bit too late, because Mr. Bracalo is entering the last few corners as we start to climb up the hill. 5.6 seconds behind now Spoljaric and Palm, with Reino Room for Team Estonia just joining onto that, and they've got 12 seconds over Henry Vierock. It really has been a four-way battle-a-thon up front. And well, Room saving the best till last, is he? No, can't quite make it. Not enough room for Reino to room it. Oh, I should really stop commentating like that, because I'm sure it must be very annoying. But never mind. Ilja Bracalo, or Ilya Bracalo. Ilya face. Coming round. Ooh, don't do that on the last corner. That will never work. But Ilja Bracalo, 2 out of 2. What a classic. Sorry, Motorsport Mobile. Do you know what? That's so much in the bag, you might as well have taken it down to the lab for testing. Borna Spoljaric second. Martin Palm third for another 2-3 for Simskins. Only in a different order to last time. Reino Room. Yoinks a fourth for Team Estonia. Fifth has now crossed the line, that's Henry Vierock. Reino Muru, just by 0.2 of a second, beats Homie Haber-Bass. Great little battle going on there. Oscar Hardwick grabs 8th. Mirko Wenzel, a 9th position, so top 10 on debut night. Good stuff for him. Kyril Aziz got back up to 10th position. Hans-Peter Mead, 11th for Online Motorsports, 12th for Paul Joseph. Then across the line, 13th position comes Cameron Brewster for his best result to date. Dave Robertson, 14th. Legion Home, the team core duo. And then Stuart Fleming just clinging on to 15th by 3/10 from James Kirk in 16th position, who picks up more points. And Tyrone Frith, 17th position. James Ross, 18th. And someone grabbed me the Benny Hill theme. Norman Bruce, 18th. Still unlapped though. Good stuff. Don't know quite what team he is in actually. I shall find that out. But the Brucey grabs 2 points this time round for a 19th. Stanky Vicious, our sole retirement. The Crasheroo into the barriers. Well, some mothers do have them. And if you can have a surname like Stanky Vicious, you're going to have a bad one. And oh, Waterblue Racing. Oh, it's good to see Waterblue Racing making their come over to GRC. I've seen them in plenty of other leagues beforehand. Good to have Waterblue over. It's about time we got some fresh new teams in to hot up the action. Ooh. I've just been informed of a new rule change that even I didn't know about, and I've already misinformed you. This time, the random generator number will be up to the number of 10. So we could have the top half of the grid reformed. A bit like corned beef. Mechanically. It does, oh. No, who is teasing me in my ear, cooing. I didn't say he was a pigeon. What was that? That was that Mickey take, wasn't it? Of no, I don't want no pigeon. Do you remember that? That was a bad, bad, bad song. James Kirk saying he restored his default to the default setup for race 2, so God knows what happened on there. Tyrone Frith was doing very, very well early on, but was spun out whilst we was in a good position. I made changes to the setup that was pants, said Martin Palm. That is face palm. If it worked first time round, it's fine second time round. I decided, actually, to be fair, that setups are for wimps, and I'll just drive it however I'm given it. Actually, I used to yoink people's setups from the setup sharing forum, which has sadly gone a little bit dead. Hence, I'm much more this side of the commentary team. It's safer for everyone. So, couple of minutes to go, and the magic number is, let's see, position number, dum dum dum, 9. So, Wurzel Gummidge it is, pole position. Hoo-hoo-hoo! So, I'm sure it's their debut. I've never seen them before. So, to go on debut to pole position for a fresh new team, fresh face, fresh pants, it's all good. Giggity indeed. So that will put Oscar Hardwick alongside him. Hopefully that'll give him less to crash into. Although now I may have just been a little bit of a commentary tempt fate now, so apologies, Oscar, who will be joining me for the 24-hour Le Mans event that is taking place in 2 weeks' time on the Saturday, Sunday. So good luck, mate. Better say that, otherwise there may be tension in the commentary booth, and it's not because one of us is on HRT tablets. Clue, not me. Of course, as ever, get in on the action with rfgrc.co.uk. Sign yourselves up. I want to see more! More! I want the world! And of course, we'll be doing this all again next Monday from 8 o'clock, where we go to round 2 at Interlagos. I love that circuit. I'm sure I've said that every time we go there, but I love that circuit, and I despise this one. Every fibre of my being. And GRC, we've not been there, have we? Not been there for a while, so that'll be interesting, because we do have a few fan favourite tracks that we try and go back to every couple of seasons or so, if we don't do them a couple in a row. Anyone who cares will be pleased to know that my nanny's alive, after me looking after her for 2 weeks. After last year, when she decided to call the fire brigade to tell them that when her smoke alarm off there wasn't a fire, which sent them careering round when they said, well, if you just evacuate outside just in case so that we can check it, and she said no.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
She said, no, it's nice and toasty in here. She couldn't have picked a better choice of words if she tried. So she had me run ragged. It was like a comedy show. But Nanny was good this time round. And that was just as well, because I bought her some stuff for her birthday last month. And she went, well, she goes, I can put that with my Christmas present, and that's the bin. Mirko Wenzel leads us round then. Oscar Hardwick alongside then for the Touring Motorsport Osiris behind the onlinemotorsport.com. Driver Ehab Abbas, third position for Union Motorsports, all that will make for carnage. Fourth, Reino Muru, TTFR. In fact, there's some good juicy people up front here that I think could cause a little bit of argy-bargy. An all-Estonian row 3 with Henry Virok ahead of Reino Room. And then a Simon Skins, the safest pleasurable attribute for Touring Motorsports. Martin Palm. What's going on there? That's Aziz there. He nearly takes out his teammate just behind there. Stoliak in 8. Riccardo 9. What can he do from there, I wonder? I thought the Team Estonians were about to crash into each other there as well. These cameras are very forlorn. Aziz N10. Hans-Peter Mead 11th for onlinemotorsport.com. Paul Joseph 12th for Motorsport International. Karen Brewster 13th for 6th Axis Racing. Then Team Core 14 and 15, Dave Robertson ahead of Stuart Fleming. I always watch with interest what those two are getting up to, because they're inseparable while they make good teammates. 16th James Kirk, a Team Core, or making a Team Core field sandwich. TTF's Tyrone Griff 17, James Ross 18, Water Blue Racing's Norman Bruce in 19th. And Andreas Nicky Vicious rounding off the grid in 20th. Oh, he'll be all guns blazing. And of course, first time a Lexus will be starting at the front of the grid this season. And it's the first time all evening that the Lexis have been split. So let's hope they don't do some kind of magnetic force and decide to meet in the middle of turn 1 or something. Just for old time's sake. Big smash fest. I shouldn't do this really. So maybe I should tempt fate as a commentator. I'm going to win the lottery. Lols. There we go. We'll see. It's true. I think I could have earned more wazzing offers. Here we go. Final round is off and away. Wenzel's off to a good start. He's going to cut across Hardwick, or is he leaving the door open? I think he's leaving the door open, and Oscar Hardwick will take that quite happily. Look at Rainer Muru pushing out Abbas right to the outside, and Hardwick's got it. Look at Virok steaming through, and Wenzel there being very, very submissive, as Rainer Muru now going to have a go through as well. So first a third there for Wenzel. Hardwick leads from Virok, Wenzel, Muru, Abbas. Spoljaric now 6th from Room. Aziz Bricalo's still only 9. He's not made progress. Palm down to 10. That's not worked out well for him. Then Robertson, Mead, Kirk, and everyone else has steamed through quite nicely. Stankiewicz is up to 16th already. He's passed 4 drivers on the opening 3 corners, and that's working out well. And it looks like he's about to have another one too. Oh, side by side. Virok versus Hardwick out of the end of Sector 1, and is Hardwick going to push across? Yes, he is. Virok tucks back in behind. That corner is deadly if you're going to go side by side into. You really shouldn't, which is exactly what Muru and Spoljaric are doing, as they're trying to get round Mirko Wenzel, and they're going to attack a bit too early. Hardwick dodgy on the entry, but they've all got through. Spoljaric's had to push behind Muru to stay in 5th position. They weren't all going to make it through. Has everyone else made it through? Indeed they have. Norman Bruce having a bit of problems at the back again, so he's having problems. Where is Hardwick going? He has got an affinity with the gravel today, has Oscar, and that's him going off again, and that's going to cost him the lead. Surely it smacks at Hardwick. Well, goes Wenzel! Contact drama, everyone's off. It's a crash fest. My goodness me, and poor old Stuart Fleming spins to avoid it, then spins to then go back across Mirko Wenzel. What an absolute shame. Stuart Fleming and Mirko Wenzel the ones most affected there, and someone else is in trouble too. Oh, it's James Kirk steaming in and smacking someone. It's Bricalo in trouble down at turn 1. He's got a puncture. So what happened with that was poor old Wurzel himself spun it on the exit of the final corner, and just everyone else had nowhere to go. It was such a shame. But I think that may have been started because Oscar had gone in so deep that maybe loads of people don't know what's going on. So crawling back as the leaders are now battling away, with Hardwick and Virok actually going on. Just see that, because there's 3 wide for 10th position. That was a bit scary going into one of the fast corners as Joseph Kirk and Room will battle away. Rainer Room trying to get back up the field. So Virok now leads from Hardwick, Muru, Spoljaric. Then a big old gap back to Martin Palm, who looks a bit worse for wear in 5th. Then Abbas, Hans-Peter Mead, Stankiewicz up to 8th from last on the grid. James Kirk 9, Rainer Room 10, Paul Joseph 11, Tyrone Frith up to 12, Dave Robertson 13, and James Ross and Ilja Bricalo, who looks like he's damaged. Aziz is damaged in 16. Stuart Fleming and Mirko Wenzel are damaged in 17 and 18. In fact, I don't know if Stuart Fleming is actually damaged. I think he just spun in avoidance and spun again. Norman Bruce is 19, Cameron Brewster limping round in 20th. So bizarre, as everyone's switching around for fastest laps as they go round. Hardwick battling with Virok for the lead, and he was trying to stick his nose in where it didn't belong. Look at Borna Spoljaric having a go at Muru for 3rd and 4th just behind, and that has just suddenly allowed everyone to close right up as Rainer Room goes round the outside of James Kirk for 8th position. That yoinks him that. Hans-Peter Mead and Ehab Abbas side by side for 6th and 7th as well, so that's problems there. And look at Borna Spoljaric actually trying to have a go at Muru. That's not going to work. As back to the battle for 6, 7 and 8. Mead, Abbas and Room, and I think Room's going to try and have the pair of them into the corner. No. Round goes Abbas. James Kirk once again It's like he's got weapons on that front bumper, but that time what he's done is he's actually been a gentleman, waited for Abbas to go back through, and that's going to cause problems up at the top of the hill where he's been so gentlemanly like. Look at Tyrone Frith's trying to stick it in. Frith, has he ever been in 10th position before? He was having a go, and look at Stankiewicz. He's getting his angry elbows out. This is going to be carnage down into the corkscrew. Look at Upsies. Oh, goodness me. How did they all manage to get round that? I'll tell you what, my sphincter, well, that's all I need to say. The dog next door is wailing. I thought that was going to be the end of several people's races going into the corkscrew. Thankfully it was not. Everyone continues on. Vierok still leading Hardwick. Muru's trying to hold off Spoljaric. Spoljaric's going to go around the outside and say thank you very much, but that is what is called wide. You may have a better run out of 2, but is there much place to go? Because Muru will just go for the inside. Maybe even wrong-footed though, coming out of here, and this is playing the long game. Oh, Muru, angry on the elbows as he comes around the next couple of corners. Maybe he'll have a go down at the end here as Muru runs out slightly wide. Spoljaric goes for the inside, and I wouldn't get that man angry. Oh! My goodness me, that was a tank slapper and a half. But Muru down to 4th then. Martin Palm is the next one up, as here comes Vierok being attacked by Hardwick once again at the top of the hill. I think Hardwick's going to go for it because Vierok's in trouble and he's pushing him down. I don't think he needs help, Oscar. I think he's quite good at going forward, but thanks for the tip. Anyway, but Hardwick certainly looking the faster of the two. Aziz has just got round Bass for 11th position at the top of the hill, and that's not really a placing pass, and it's going to push him right off, and Vierok's going off-road. Side by side down into the last corner. Hardwick has gone off here several times, and look at Spoljaric having a go. Look at the three of them. He could basically run a piece of string underneath them as well, as Martin Palm in the background having a go with Muru, and he's through before they get across the start-finish line. So that should be a position for him. Stankiewicz has got round Kirk for 9 and 10 down into the final corner as well. So that's working out good for him. Hardwick's taking a stab down into turn 1. Not going to quite work out there. Palm keeps Muru at bay, and Aziz and Kirk are battling for 9 and 10 as they go. 10 and 11. Aziz is going to get that one, I'm sure of it. As the trio or quintet, that's what 5 is, isn't it, of the lead comes spiralling out, and Hardwick's the one that's looking ragged again. Unfortunately, Vierok may be the slowest, but he seems to be able to put his car in all the right places as Hardwick once again takes a desperately good inside line. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the rules are taken, because he's making more than one move across sometimes, so we'll see how that plays out. All top of the hill. Not quite. It's going to be potentially the quickest one out of the 4 by the looks of it now. Actually looks to be Martin Palm. Obviously he's put his setup back to what is going on. There's Muru clinging on. It looks like he may well be the one that gets dropped out of these 4 as they come around the last couple of corners. There's an absolute gangbang going on from Paul Joseph in 8th position all the way down, as here comes Oscar Hardwick down into the final corner, and they're all too far wide, and Spawner's going to have a field day potentially out of turn 1 down the straight. Sorry, final turn down the straight past Hardwick already he goes. Palm's going to have a go round the outside. Will Spoljaric also have a go at Vierok? He's gone to the outside. He's going to be risky on the apron, and he's trying to go down the outside. That's not going to necessarily work there and then, because he can't do the switch back, and because Hardwick is there trying to push him back wide again. He's got 2nd position, but he's not got the lead. Palm holds off Muru, who took a very, very late dive down into turn 1, and the 5 continue on. Similarly, Stankiewicz, Aziz, Kirk, Joseph is down to 10. Abbas, they're all gaggling along as well, but nowhere near as close as these 5. Spoljaric trying the outside move. Oscar's going to try for the inside. Oh, is Oscar going to lose it? Oh, it's a bit wiggle-woggle, and that's allowed Martin Palm and Muru through. Oscar down to P5 by being a little bit too greedy, gluttonish, as they push, says Spawner, and this is getting a little bit too close for comfort for Vierok and lap 6, as once again Muru steaming in on the brakes. looking like a man on the absolute knife edge of control, and Hardwick looking like sometimes is a little bit over that knife edge of control and is self-harming. But never mind, down into the last corner then. Will anyone fancy a stab? Oh, Hardwick. That's not going to help him at all. He's steaming through. Oh, that's naughty. Naughty, Oscar. Spanky monkey. So thankfully he's let Muru have the place back because he was out of control. And Reino Room is catching them as well, and Hans-Peter Mead's not too far behind. Here comes Spoljaric once again on Vierok down the outside. These two have actually got a second advantage over Palm. Not quite sure what happened there, but never mind. And Spoljaric running around the outside, but he's been almost run off the road. Is he going to keep the inside for the next corner? No, he does not. He cuts back across again. I think he's going to have a go down at the end of the next straight that they've got after this right-hander here, because he's practically pushing the car around the circuit. He feels that he's got that much excellence. So Stankiewicz is off in 12th position. He's dropping down the order. He's rejoined in 13th. He's about to lose to Friffen Wenzel. Oh, smacks Wenzel actually. That's not going to work at all. As once again Spoljaric right up onto the back of Horrid Henry as they come up the top of the hill, and once again Spoljaric this time I think is going for the inside line. Oh, and through he goes. He's made the push and he's made it stick. Spoljaric takes the lead at the top of the corkscrew. Not the best place of overtaking, but he's made it work perfectly to his advantage. A little bit of nudging, but it was as clean as it can ever be at the top of the corkscrew. And immediately Vierok under attack by Martin Palm. Oscar loving the gravel this evening. That's not helping at all. Palm running out quite wide as well. And look at Reino Room that's joined onto the back for this little 6-car buggy train. Vierok fancying a nose back at Spoljaric. Didn't notice that he was particularly rubbish out of the exit, but Vierok's got much better traction here. I don't know quite what the drafting is on the mod, but it seems to be very effective. Vierok taking a stab through. Are they going to force each other wide? And Palm desperately hoping for that to go wrong, and Vierok's going to have him. Spoljaric does a little nudge back through and says, excuse me, uh-oh, it's red mist time. It is zombie mode out there for Spoljaric versus Vierok, and Spoljaric gets the position back. Vierok goes now desperately into the old defensive action. I think now Martin Palm is going to have a go through as well. Vierok being pushed out wide, and that's going to allow Muro to have a go. Look at Hardwick trying to get down the inside. Free wide into the next corner is certainly not going to work. This is going to be a drama. Who on earth is going to make it out of there? Everyone. Oh, contact between Room and Muru as Room goes up into 5th position. He has displaced Reino Muru. What are they going to do when they get down into the corkscrew? Goodness me, Vierok, Palm, Hardwick and Muru and Room all fly out of it. Hans-Peter Mead's just a couple of seconds behind these lot, having a good day for the online motorsports car. Off the back of these, it's Aziz Kirk, Joseph, Abbas, Robertson, Wenzel, Stankiewicz, Frith, Ross, Brewster. Oh my goodness me, Oscar once again flying off. Stuart Fleming has been into the pits. Oh, as Muru goes through because Room takes the position. Stuart Fleming's just exiting the pits out now. He may well end up being a problem for these guys later on, depending on how damaged his car is, because if he's running slow, they've got to lap him. And that'll be an interesting opposition or problem to deal with as Vierok goes heavily defensive down to turn 1, pushing Palm right the way out, hanging him out to dry. And poor old Hardwick, feeling a little bit hard done by maybe, starting second on the grid. Running 4th in the race at the moment. Spoljaric 2.5 seconds clear already, romping away. He will love that. As once again Henry Trulli Vierok continues round. As they come up the hill once again. What? Oh, no, it's an as you were there. Oh, Palm. Four-wheel drifting. It's all looking a little bit Colin McRae dirt. As here comes, who's that? It's Reino Room having a go down on Palm, and that's a steaming through. Steaming through, and that was always going to go wrong. Hardwick's facing the wrong way. Through goes Hans-Peter Mead. Poor old Hardwick now going back up in 7th position, rejoining just ahead of Kyrol Aziz. Everyone's favourite Malaysian. as they come out of the second to last corner, and Vierok now has got teammate Reino Room behind. Now the difference between these two in round 2 was a good 12 to 13 seconds with a couple of laps to go. So I think Vierok will be very much under pressure by Reino because he's been quicker than him all evening. As Mirko Venz, Hardwick's retired. As suddenly Team Estonia, they're obviously thinking that they'll go for one of those little rock moments that sometimes are favourite European countries quite like, and it's all going to go off into a cluster in the barriers. But Reino continues on. Oscar, I think, upset, retired out of the race, and that's a shame because he would have still scored some quite useful points from where he was. I don't think he was damaged. Yeah, he's left the game, so he's not happy. Reino up the hill they go. He's sizing him up nicely, but he's got to watch out for Palm as well. And you can't make a desperate stab at it because then you'll be wrong-footed as Martin takes a peek. But there's nothing doing. Is he going to try and go around the outside of the corkscrew? No. And they all follow through. Great battles going on further back, but we'll stay with this for the time being, as everyone else is kind of forming into little clutches of 2s and 3s. But look at Palm having a go once again at Muru and Room. Muru's dropping off as he hands Peter Mead in the background in 6th position, just 12 seconds off our leader, and he is catching, which is good to see. Top Lexus actually today, is Room going steaming down the outside. Obviously team orders certainly not at play at Team Estonia, because that's going to cost Reino, who's busy hanging on for dear life on the exit curb. And Palm, I think, will have him down into this next corner because he's got a much better exit. Side by side they go. Martin Palm yoinks back into 3rd position. Let's see what he can do and if he can hold it down into the next corner. Reino Room desperately trying to find enough slipstream to make it happen. Palm goes in very deep into that corner. I think that's going to really affect him. He's had to cut right across to cover the line for the next corner. This is going to leave Palm vulnerable. And there's only one more lap to go after this one, as the Team Estonia duo try to polish off Palm and make sure that they can get a Team Estonia 2-3. Reino Muru for TTFR still keeping a watching brief, but not really an active participant in this battle at the moment, and Hans-Peter Mead still going in 6th position. Aziz 7, Kirk 8 with the 6th axis looking for their team's first top 10, as Palm doing a switch back, and he's going to have a dive through on. It's a little bit clumsy, and look at Reino Room, they're so desperately on the brakes on the accelerator out of the corner. That's actually lost him out for having the pair of them. As side by side they go. Someone just exiting the pits on the side there, we'll catch that in a sec, as Room has got no room to get round Vierok, and poor old Martin Palm, I think, is going to be side straddled wrong, and they're smacking each other as teammates, and that's never going to be the right way to go about it. That was Ihab Abbas in the pits there, by the way, for Union International, as they come out of the last couple of corners. 6 seconds now behind Spoljaric, who's got this one wrapped up in the bag, providing he doesn't bin it. The famous last word from me potentially there. And here comes Palm, he's running out of options, and Vierok has certainly done some excellent defensive driving, some of it pushing right the way up to the boundaries of the rules, but not necessarily going beyond unless people feel otherwise at the moment. As look at Reino sticking his nose in and pushing Palm right the way out wide. I'm wondering if they're going to try and set him up so that Palm is possibly kind of wrong-footed and blocked out of the corner. He's gone in deep. Muru! What on earth was that? He was cutting across the inside curb on their way in to avoid contact there with Reino, and that's not going to work for them at all. As they come round to the last couple of corners. Oh, what's going on? Bruce has run out and Bricalo has smacked him somewhere along the line. There's problems. They're all going to come across a stationary car, and I think this is going to be drama. Bruce is stuck in the track. Palm goes right across all drama there, and Borna Spoljaric comes out of the final corner, wins the third round there, just ahead of the lapped Bracalo. What on earth is going on with behind? Henry Vierock still got second, Palm's got third, Muru ends up fifth behind Reino Room. Hans-Peter Mead was right with them when they came across the line in 6th position. Aziz is 7. Kirk is going to grab 8th for the 6th Axis team. He'll be delighted with that, as that is their team's best result ever. Paul Joseph 9th, once again a top 10 and the second best Lexus. Stanky Vicious ends up 10. Dave Robertson, team core, 11th position. I believe it was certainly his best result of this season, if not actually the best result potentially for him. Tyron Frith, 12th position. It's been a while since he's been that high. Mirko Enzo, I think, will be upset with 14th. Cameron Brewster overtaking James Ross on the final corner. Those cars look battered. In 15th and 16th position. Poor old James Ross. No luck at all here, the independent driver. Stuart Fleming has gone off down at the at the corkscrew. Come on, get it home, because you're still going to get several points for 16th. Then one lap down was Ilja Bracalo, Ehab Abbas, and what had happened was Norman Bruce had crashed on his, well, the second last corner on the last lap, and I think it involved Ilja Bracalo because Bracalo had stopped alongside. So I wonder if there was contact between the two, maybe. We'll soon find out. But yeah, Bruce had done a number a number 2s into wall, and that was not good at all. He was parked up trying to probably escape out of the game, which he did then do. So wow, there we go. What an absolute fun-filled action fest that we've had here today for GRC, and that is just round 1 at Laguna Seca. Don't forget, no, we can't get a replay of that unfortunately, but not to worry. A fantastic collection of winners there. 2 for Ilja Bracalo, who then went on to have a disastrous final round once back in the pack. And Von Spoljaric taking the victory there, and I believe actually he will lead the championship after that evening. Palm will probably be second. And I'd have thought Reino Room possibly third. So in Division 2, I'm thinking Paul Joseph topping that one from probably James Kirk and then Dave Robertson. But I'm guessing. So, fantastic action today. Fancy it all again? Let's go for it. We got Interlagos coming up next Monday from around 8 o'clock. You're not European time, right? British time. Come and join me for under the Dust Bowl that is Interlagos. Thank you very much to Simon Melhuish, who is as ever on cameras and doing a fantastic job providing you with all your eye candy. My name is Simon Smith. Pleasure commentating for you all. I look forward to seeing you all next week. You take care of yourselves. Bye for now.